Hello folks, we are back at the workshop once again. If you don't know what's going on, then we'll catch you up right now. Cut to that. My girlfriend and I, we're going to take our bikes from our home in the UK through Europe and into the African continent. We'll go through France, Spain, into Morocco, all the way down the west coast of Africa and then hit South Africa. But to do that, still got to get the bikes finished, prepped. Today going to be mostly working on the rack, so let's get inside and get to it. The main reason for modifying the racks, as you may remember from the previous video, was firstly to move the position of one of the supporting bars to allow the panniers to sit more flush, and then to add in a metal loop which would provide support and a frame for our panniers to attach to. Whilst I got on with this, Andy, who you may remember from the 24-hour dawn to dusk enduro video, which you can watch on the pop-out in the top right, used some CAD, cardboard aided design, to make and cut out a plate which would form the basis of our crash bar design. In this time lapse you might notice a third person. Meet Rory, one of the daftest yet kindest people I know.
Hello. Hello.
So what were you, Roy? You were enforcer.
Enforcer.
Enforcer. Yeah. Supervisor. Bender.
Top bender.
Top bender. She's a bit cherry. Right. Enforcers want to enforce. We'll keep the heat on if you like. And we'll, yeah. Alright. Go on and start bending. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Oh my god, it's actually working.
Keep going.
We need to stop and do this. There we go, that's 90. Bend too far, bend too far. Too far? No, you need to bend too far. Oh. It'll spring back. That's good. Yeah. Lovely. Amazing! That's actually not that bad.
That came out way better than expected.
Well done, team.
Between Rory, Andy and I, we did a lot of engineering or mechanical experience, yet none of us had ever bent tubing before. Our initial attempts weren't brilliant, but with a bit of practice, we started to suss out the best method. Or at least a method that worked for us.
Thing is, that would have been really nice if you put it in the vice.
It's still not fantastic.
Yeah, I chopped off the edge there. If you put it in the vice correctly,
it's not my fucking fault. After that argument, Rory was relegated to camera work. And he could have looked after himself better doing that, but those who know Rory know that self-preservation doesn't feature highly in his psyche.
I realised I just watched all of that.
That's probably not ideal, Rory. Rory Oven approved. It's about 6 o'clock. Finally got pannier rack made. So I had to chop and modify this and weld it. Do the same the other side. And then progress. Then Andy's been kindly doing all of that. That's the plate there that we're then going to make the crash bars off. And then modifying all of these to make some crash bar bag mounts. So we're finally getting somewhere with luggage. And then we've also this rack. This is another rack that I got that has been modified in the same way, but realised that the mounting point is for an earlier bike and the ones on our bikes about an extra 20mm or so. So I need to, yeah, get that done. These welds are atrocious. Andy welded that. It's fucking useless. Now, you wouldn't think we've got qualifications in welding, would you?
Not at all.
Hey? Another modification we wanted to turn our bikes into a long-distance adventure motorcycle was a more comfortable seat. The standard seat gets pretty uncomfortable in around an hour, so a quick ride from Brecon to Newport was on the cards to collect our new seats. They'd been modified to add extra foam and a slight bump behind the rider seat to make it more bum-friendly. I realised strapping the seats down that now my Phaser technically had 6 seats. Not many bikes can say that. Because we'd been doing so much fabrication, we'd gone through nearly all the cutting and grinding discs. A quick stop at the shop to solve that problem, and then I got to work swapping the old for new. Then it was time for more CAD to make some templates for the gussets for the pannier loops. These gussets would be welded on and hopefully provide more support for the pannier loops themselves. Something like that. You hear a wild Andy appearing. Some plate. We've got some flitty plate. And what else we got? Oh, we got a flitty flapper.
But not even just 2.
Oh my god, we got a brand new one. We got 2 brand new ones. Fucking hell.
Well, I've only got 1 pair of gloves, so do you want the left or the right?
Neither. All burnt fingers, ta. What have you got on your forehead? What is that?
Oh, it's an extra piece at the top?
No, genuinely. Oh, it's a fly. It's genuinely a dead fly. Nice, what else is in there?
Oh, some bits and bobs.
Got some bitties and some bobbies. Oh, nice.
Some spaces and shit.
Sweet. Are these the ones you made?
Well, it's just bar
Look at that. Bespoke. He machined that with his fingers. Look at the size of them.
Yeah, with just my nails.
Just billet fingers. Ready? I could actually do with some of these new flapper discs, so I'm going to go and use them.
I've got to take them back.
To fix my copy. Oh yeah, you can take them back afterwards.
Yeah.
Making the most of Andy's help with delivery, I carried on modifying the racks. It was a pretty laborious process. Cutting parts off, grinding things back to bare metal, welding them, regrinding any weld splatter, and then moving on to the next point. I estimate that the fabrication as a total in this project is well over 100 hours. After all the welding I'd done, I let Andy weld the first parts of the crash bars on my bike, which went well.
I fucking could do.
Once again we soldiered on and we ended up with a very workable idea to allow us to fix a plate which the Lomo crash bar bags would attach to. Part of the reason of wanting them here was to keep some weight further forward and lower down. It's super easy to pile things on the back of a bike, which makes it top heavy, and that not only affects how the bike rides, but also how stable it is when parked on the side stand. Crash bar mounting plates had to be welded to the existing design, and then in the absence of a better solution, we drilled multiple holes, used a combination of saws, and then finally filed the holes smooth. By this point, Lauren had come to join us in the workshop and help with the fabrication of our own set of crash bars.
Oh, we went through.
Well done. Righto, quick update. So, Lauren's rack, I've managed to move this pipe and get it roughly in position, but now obviously this means that this one doesn't reach into the touch, so I've just cut a tiny little notch out, and I'm hoping it will then be weak enough that I can just... Nope, not quite. So I might need to heat this up or make it a bit bigger, and then my plan is to just tap that across. It might work. There we go. Get that in position. Pull that across a little bit. I'll weld that back up. I'll weld that up. That saves me having to fully weld that again. Also, I'm going to have to weld that. Plan. But as you can see, so we've got this edge near enough square. That one is sitting proud by quite a bit. You see that gap there? It's about half off. And you say, well, just push this side down, but look, I'm actually not far off being square, and this side, if anything, needs to go down. So that's the problem, is that the whole rack is warped and twisted. Think where I've cut it apart and had to weld it so many times. But it's almost square on the bike. It's not far off, but yeah, it needs to shift. We were fast running out of time, and the solution for Lauren's luggage rack was to weld an additional bit of material to make the front mount line up. This definitely isn't the best solution, but it was the fastest and strongest one we could come up with. Having completed that step, we moved on to the pannier support bar, which would tie each pannier loop together to provide additional strength and support in the event of a drop or a fall. We bent more tube, squished the ends in the vise, made some fine adjustments with a precision instrument, and then drilled some holes to allow it to be bolted in. Andy had made a really simple clamp that went around the pannier loop to hold it all together. It wasn't the neatest job, and we didn't leave it with so much overhang. However, the job list was finally decreasing. Lauren finished filing the crash bar bag mount so we could loop the straps through, while I got on with making some brackets for our tool tubes. We did have to sacrifice the small Honda badge that usually sits on the bottom yoke, but these things have to happen in the pursuit of an epic adventure bike build. These are plastic tubes we opted to put at the front of the bike, again to try and distribute some weight forwards and will mainly hold tools and spares. With the fabrication all done, I finally tested our pannier system. Using a molly system to attach the panniers to, I wanted them to be easily removable from the bike by the nature of just a few straps and stay attached to their main harness. Something like that. Then you attach these points down at the bottom. There you go. I've roughly test fitted the remainder of the luggage and then had to wait for a gap in the typical Welsh weather before we could finally get the bikes out into the outside world. Project is almost finished. Let me show you the bikes and tell you what we've done. So at the front, got this tool tube so we can keep a little bit of tools and weight over the front rather than having everything at the back. Then we've got crash bar bags from Lomo. Thank you, Lomo. So the crash bars are now mounted. These aren't mounted properly, they're just mocked up, but they'll go there with some stuff. These will stay on the bike pretty much full time. Then we've got our panniers at the back. So those will be for our everyday items, you know, clothes, wash kit, whatever. And like I said, be easily removable in one fell swoop when we come to it. Then we've got our top box. That'll be mainly empty most of the time, but means we can put stuff in there, lock it, any valuables, whatever, and yeah, keep stuff a little bit out of the way, but we don't want too much weight in there when we're riding day to day, so it'll be mostly just odds and sods. And then one thing that we're missing is a tank bag, but that's for another day. But most of this stuff is just mocked up at the moment. We still need to do some paint on the crash bars. There's a few little bits and bobs like my oil, what's it called, oil cap. can't think of the name of it, is cracked, so we need to replace that. There's a whole host of other bits. And one other thing that I've forgotten is this. Don't look too closely at the welds, but the side stands were too short, so we've modified those to have a little extra stiletto, as Loz calls it. Well, there we have it, the end of part 2 of the adventure bike build. Thanks very much for watching and getting us to this point. The last couple of weeks have been absolutely manic trying to get stuff done, and I really want to say a good thanks to M&P for sponsoring the build, Lomo for sponsoring us with the crash bar bags and the panniers. Massive thanks to Gary from the Overland Motorcycle Preparation Workshop, because without him we just wouldn't have got this done. And a huge shout out to my mate Andy as well, because genuinely without his help, support, input, getting materials, thoughts, ideas, and just absolute graft, I just wouldn't have got it done. So please can you say a massive thanks to Andy and Gary. Give them some love in the comments, because they deserve it. They need to see, yeah, how much they mean to me, and I don't think this will do it justice. So yeah, if you can give them some love, I'd really appreciate it. And as well, if you can give the channel some love, give this a like, a share, drop a comment, subscribe, whatever. That's what helps us keep going, and it's what's going to help us keep traveling ultimately. So anything you can do there, be much appreciated. But for now, I need to go and get a shower, because it's been 4 days, I think, without a shower. My hands are grubby, my hair's grubby, I'm a mess, and we need to load the bikes up and get going. So we'll see you when we're on the road. Take care.